Hey, this is Shoot First, Questions Later, an informative and mildly entertaining photography podcast with a raw Aussie flavour. My name's Cameron, and here with me is Will.
Good evening. Here we are, episode 2.
Episode 2.
Of our photography podcast. And I'm surprised we made it this far, actually.
It's been a long journey.
It's been a long week
Yeah.
between episodes.
Well, it's Shoot First, and so we're going to talk about what we've taken photos of in the last week. So anything of note for you, William?
You can kick it off.
All right. The only thing I can think of, the most fun I had was on the weekend. I took photos of a little tattoo session. I got behind the scenes there, and just got some cool black and white gritty photos of some people getting ink scratched into their bodies.
So rebellious.
Yeah, but it was pretty cool.
These criminals? Like, this sounds like criminal behaviour.
It was in jail. They let me in for that.
So it was a scratcher. It was someone doing a backyard job.
Scratcher, yeah, just a do-it-yourself backyard.
So that's
gig.
the highlight for you?
Well, yeah, that was kind of my favourite photos so far this week, in the past week. What about yourself?
Mind blank. Yeah, okay. Really amazing sunrise.
Oh, yeah.
When was that? I think it was 2 mornings ago. Just epic. As you know, I wake up literally every day, look out the window to see what the clouds are doing, see if there's anything interesting to photograph. And yeah, on this specific morning, I'd organised with some guys to do a bit of filming for just a short promo video we're working on for my workshops. Just super brief stuff. And yeah, we locked in for Monday morning. So yeah, it was yesterday actually. So we locked it all in a few days beforehand, and yeah, we just woke up to some ethereal light, something that I haven't seen for a long time now. So
yeah,
it was a blessing, man.
I caught a glimpse of it through my window in
from
the morning.
Pillow.
Yeah, as I was
the
waking
comfort
up.
Of bed.
Yeah, I saw this orange glow, and yeah.
Oh yeah, just one of those once per
year?
Yeah, bi-monthly type thing. You know, maybe 5 or 6 a year you get these.
Yeah,
roughly.
okay.
So just one of those real crackers, and it was cool. My son Judah tagged along. He caught me sneaking out real early, 6 a.m. Basically said, "Where you going, Dad?"
Oh.
And I told him, and he said, "I want to come." And yeah, he joined me, which was, you know, it was a bit interesting because we were trying to film something, and we were on the rock shelves and waves and slippery moss and everything like that, but yeah, he just chilled out, and I got a portrait of him that I really like. So yeah, no landscapes or anything that I normally do. It was quite nice for a change not to really stress too much about getting photos. So.
Yeah, I remember in the earlier days of our photography, when we get mornings like that, it would just be frantic. It would be us two like. Not speeding, but very pushing.
It was reminiscent of that, actually.
To get there, and just running around those rock shelves.
It was reminiscent because, you know, taking my son, it meant, all right, quick, we've got to get you out of the pajamas and get you changed. And I was already running late.
And that's what you used to have to say to me, right?
Yeah, give you a fresh nappy, and off we go. So, no, it was the same thing. I was driving and I could see it firing, and I was like, oh man, I can't get there quick enough now.
Yeah.
And the dudes I was meeting up with were already there and frothing, just sending messages, and I was like, this is going to be good.
Yeah, I just remember getting out, running around, trying to get as many compositions
getting home and being bummed that you didn't capture anything you liked.
Yeah, it's like, all of my photos are out of focus because I wasn't paying attention.
It was cool, like just doing this filming. I wasn't filming, I was being filmed, so it meant that, yeah, I kind of just took it in a little bit more than usual, I guess.
Yeah.
Not looking through the lens as much, which is something I'm trying to change as well, just moving forward this year and absorb the moment a little bit more instead of getting so fixated on the shot. But
yeah.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, well, it's one of my sort of, like when I do look back on those like epic sunrises, sunsets, it's the moment I'm most fond of is after you've taken the shot that you know you're going to be happy with. It's like, this is the shot.
You kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah, and you've got it on the camera, and you see it on the back of the camera or whatever, and then you look up and see things with your eyes, and you can just relax.
Because so many times I've had, amazing moments like that, and then I can get home and look at the photos and go, hang on, I don't remember being there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a distant memory almost. I was going to say something else, but I'm mind blanking right now. So.
Yeah. Me too, actually. I feel like there's a few things there. We probably
Maybe
could
we're
have
just-
rambled on for a while.
Yeah,
on that
we're
topic.
dwelling on the good light. But how about we move forward then to questions? Questions time. Love the question last week from Oliver. So this week we have a question from Alyssa, username Alyssum Ventures, all one word. And this is a big question here. She's saying, not sure if this is what you're looking for. I've been struggling with this myself lately. How do you stay inspired to photograph every day, especially some of the same things over and over again? Big question.
Indeed.
Now, before we proceed, I have been asked this question a few times before as well, and Alyssa's said he photograph every day, but a similar question I've been given is just the same area, essentially. People that can't travel, how do you stay inspired to keep taking photos? So same type of thing here.
Yeah, I think I know what your answer will be, though. Which
Do you? I was thinking about this one today, actually, because it is a good question and it's not easy. But go ahead. What are you thinking?
Well, the pattern I've seen over the years from you is you just love to keep topping what you've done at a location previously. And so that means revisiting a location heaps of times in stacks of different light because you're sort of chasing just to better the last one.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway,
That's
what
good,
would you
man.
say?
No, that's right. So, first of all, let's face it, landscape photography, if that's what we're talking about here, it is dependent on location. So, if you can't travel, traveling's a luxury. Not everyone can do it. It comes down to budget, blah, 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 blah. So, for me, like you said, Cameron, definitely it's about that pre-visualization. And for me, it's always been about the thought of what if this happened at this location, or that certain time of year when the sun might line up down this exact angle, or the moon, or what about the Milky Way above this thing? So it's kind of just visualizing, like you somewhat said, maybe being better than the previous version, the previous shot. And that's what I do. I've been home now for 2 months, no travel, maybe longer, which, that's not much to most people. But for me, it's a fair bit, especially when I'm used to travelling a lot and photographing incredible scenery. So I've been kind of stuck here, and I could almost resonate with Alyssa's question.
Yeah.
And I've been doing the same, just what I said then, kind of looking at the locations that I've been shooting for 5 years now and thinking, okay, how can I maybe take this to the next level?
Yeah, you've got to keep pushing yourself, really, to keep getting better.
And that would be my main advice, just to kind of simplify it, is set challenges for yourself. And this is across every genre, not just landscape photography, but maybe say, okay, look, I've done this, I've done that, what else can I do? Sit down and think, all right, maybe I should now try and do it, with different lighting, or if it's a subject, maybe I should find a more interesting, like a portrait, for example. Go out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, and you mentioned a little bit there about the sun lining up at a certain position, or the Milky Way, and all through the year there are, because throughout the seasons, things like Milky Way position, sun position, moon position, they always changing. And you every now and then you'll get like a really full moon. So keeping an eye on those sort of changes also helps to push you to be more creative, because if you know this certain event is coming up, you can sort of build a concept, a photo idea like around
moons,
it.
Full moons, eclipses, all these natural occurring things that are pretty rare, obviously. And even something as simple as the sun. There's a few locations here on the south coast where there's literally 2-week windows where the sun will go down a channel by the ocean, and it just makes for a good composition. And so I get excited, like you said, you kind of plan these things in advance, and I've definitely done that with full moons and even right now, I've got ideas in mind for moons in sea caves and things like that. And yeah, it's cool to be able to forecast it even months in advance. At one stage, I had a calendar with a few shots in mind, just kind of written down. And you've done a similar thing for a while there, like a diary, was it? Like you used to sketch like conceptual things down.
Yeah, if I sort of an idea came to me, it was a good way of pushing myself, sort of keeping myself accountable. Like if I had an idea, I'd write it down, draw it, what have you, and that way it was sort of it became a goal I could work towards. If I had it sort of down on paper, it's something that I could work on, because it might not be something I could have done in a day or whatever, but I could, over a week or so, I could start putting the pieces together based on this concept that I'd written down, and eventually a photo would come of it. And that is, it's a really that's a process that's helped me a lot in the past, just to push myself to create something different. And it's also something exciting just to work towards. I like working towards goals. And
for me, probably the most rewarding photos I've taken are the ones that I pre-visualized and then worked towards. I love the sporadic moments, working just in the moment with what nature gives you, but the ones where I plan them months in advance or even years, and then finally it all comes together, there's nothing better. And this is where it starts. When you're lacking that inspiration, just kind of sit down, look at your old work, how can I better it, and then start to set those goals. And they can just be small at first, and then you can build your way up. And for me now, it's about, okay, I want to get lightning at this location.
Yeah.
And like moon, like I said before. And one of the best apps for landscape photographers, in my opinion, is the Photographer's Ephemeris, TPE, which is in, on your smartphone app store or whatever. And basically it's Google Maps, but where you drop a pin, it will show you the sunrise direction, sunset, moonrise, moonset, and all the times, even the Milky Way as well now. And this is what I use all the time, just to forecast certain events and timings and help line things up and plan everything out.
Yeah, I remember when you first showed me that, you said you were showing me the sun position that was coming through, I think, the spires at Bombo Quarry.
Yeah.
And it was awesome seeing like this little line on
I think it was the moon, overlay. Actually. That was years ago.
Yeah.
A moonrise, and I was like, I got an idea here for a shot.
Yeah, and moon. Like, how good's that? You can, map out.
Just takes the guesswork out of it, big time. And then, of course, you get grey skies and you can't do it anyway, and you have to wait another month. But
it's almost what keeps pushing you. You mentioned lightning at Cathedral Rocks, and I would probably guess that idea came to you from being at the location. And when you're there, in whatever conditions you're in, you're taking photos, you might sort of think to yourself, oh, this would be sick with lightning or this kind of light. Or
that's exactly
so it's
happens.
Like it's almost studying a location
and thinking, pre-visualizing, what would suit this area, what would really make a good photo here. Because let's face it, most of the time you're not going to go there first time and get what you want.
Yeah. And this is something I've heard you teach your students a lot, is when you get to a location, sort of before pulling out the camera, you take in a little bit of what the location, like what sort of effect it has on you, how it makes you feel, and then you can sort of develop a mood around that. And
that's where I feel like I'm losing everyone when I start to
we
like
just
I'm giving them
photos.
A lecture. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's there, guns blazing, ready to start taking photos, and I'm like, all right, let's not think about photography for a minute.
Yeah,
but you're right.
It's hard. It sounds a bit paradoxical, but it's helped.
Just so beneficial with landscapes too, without sounding like a hippie, but really get that connection with the land and put the camera down. Don't think about photos at first. Just form that bond and actually appreciate where you are, what you're looking at, because it's going to influence your photos. Then you're going to see it through pure eyes, almost a pure motive. Just soak it up, and then when you get the camera out, you'll look around and go, okay, I remember seeing that before. Now I know where I'm going to go. But if you go straight in with the camera, it's almost like tunnel vision, and you can close yourself off to creative options.
Yeah, and it's literally as simple as when you get to the location, you look around and you see sharp rocks and raging ocean, and you think, "Oh, okay, this
place to sunbake, basically.
This place makes me feel like it's really epic and it's making me feel excited, so I want to get really dramatic light." Or you walk up to these sand dunes and you think, "Oh, look at these like rolling sand hills. It's calming. I want calm,
soft
overcast
light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that. And
giving
then,
yourself a chance to think, basically.
Yeah, and if
and
you're
feel.
not there in those lighting conditions, then that's just incentive.
Cry yourself to sleep at night. Right?
Give up.
Yeah. No, but that's right. It's the incentive, and it does suck when you can't return to a location immediately, or it might be on the other side of the world. I understand, and sometimes you just need to make the most of what you're given.
Flip side
but
of
this
it,
is more. This is definitely what we're talking about now. Those local locations that you're seeing all the time, you've photographed a million times, and you feel like you lost all inspiration for it.
Yeah, and
Alyssa did say photograph every day. I kind of just want to address that.
Yep.
I don't feel like you need to photograph every day at all, of course. I know, like you, for example, are doing a little 365 at the moment, which we spoke about in episode 1. But I really feel that if you don't feel like taking photos, then don't. One of my favourite painters, Caspar Friedrich, he said, if the painter should not see what's before him, but also paint what he sees within. And if he sees nothing within, then he shouldn't paint. Now, he probably said it in better words than I did, but that resonates with me so much. If you've got your camera out, you're looking out at a scene, if you're not feeling it, then just don't take the photo.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And, Alyssa, now, I'm not saying, if you're not feeling it, just more or less don't do it. Definitely, you got to challenge yourself, trying to come up with the ideas, but don't weigh yourself down with this pressure of, I need to take photos every day.
Yeah, if you're feeling like the weight of necessity or something, and you feel like you're a failure if you're not taking photos every day, then it's a negative thing, and that's a negative sort of outlook, and you should maybe just take
a chill pill.
Yeah, take it easy. Take photos when you're inspired, and don't when you're not.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to talk about this in every episode, my love-hate relationship with social media, but that's the problem with social media, is people feel like they have to keep putting work out there. If I don't put a photo up today, then
I'm going to lose followers.
Yeah, I'm going to lose followers, and people won't know who I am. Like, man, photography, you can't worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
Your photography comes first, and your happiness and enjoying the whole process. You can't let yourself get burdened down by social media or what you think others are expecting. This is an art. It's about you. It's about what you want to create. So there's no pressure. You don't need to put that pressure on yourself, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And we talked a little bit about it earlier, but we're going to sort of lead this into our next segment. We spoke about when you first get to a location, didn't we? And we sort of said take it in. But we wanted to talk a little bit about a rule of photography in a way.
We need a catchy title for this part of the...
Yeah, a little segment.
So, feel free to give us suggestions. But, essentially, a rule of photography, how it works, why it works, but how to break it.
Like a bad boy.
How to understand the rule, but break it to your advantage as well. So...
Yeah.
I don't know, someone will have a witty title for that. But anyway, so what are we going to start off with this episode? What's the first rule?
So quite often, it's something that I used to do, and I see a lot of other people do, is, you get to your location, maybe you haven't...
put the battery in the camera. I reckon throw the batteries out. Sorry.
Take off... The first thing you're going to want to do is remove your lens. Dunk your open camera into the seawater.
Waterproof, just try it.
And... you get to the location, maybe you've taken in the mood or not, but we recommend taking in the mood.
Take that mood in.
Yeah, and you stick your camera on your tripod, and then you're like, yep, I'm all set up, all my gear's set up, let's take photos. But as soon as you put... so the rule is, shoot on a tripod, I suppose.
Especially if landscapes.
And there's positives to it, of course. You can get... longer shutter speeds for sort of flowy water, and you can get higher apertures with that longer shutter speed. But when you first get to a location, as soon as you put the camera on the tripod,
Boom.
all of a sudden you're
It's like putting crutches on. You're kind of restricted straight away.
You're weighed down into one spot sometimes. Like you might, as soon as you put that on, you might not move, for the next 10, 20 minutes.
These are pretty heavy tripods sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of the people that come to the workshops have the heaviest tripods, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, we both have pretty light ones.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for just
light.
going light on the tripods and not spending too much money. It scares me how much money people can spend.
I have to say, though, there was one time in Iceland where I wish I had a heavier tripod.
In the winds?
Yeah, because the wind was
That's probably
insane.
the main time, definitely.
But then we were in Iceland, so we're not going to carry around a massive
it's just
tripod.
not practical. But anyway, back to the rule. Yeah, so the rule using tripods, and let's face it, probably 80 or so % of my photos have been shot on a tripod.
Yep.
But it is getting less and less. And for this particular reason, like Cam said, you throw your gear on the tripod and now you're restricted, and you're not going to allow yourself to move around and find compositions that you might have otherwise seen if you weren't weighed down by the big bulky legs of the tripods. And depending on your tripod, it can be a real pain to adjust the legs, get down low, and sometimes you do that. You might get down low, finally set up, and go, oh, hang on, this is not the angle I want.
Yeah.
And it's just all wasting time. And you actually can get over it and go, oh, this will do. This is good enough. This is the right height. I'll just leave it here.
Yeah, you're making compromises over something that doesn't really need to be.
Yeah. So I guess to break this rule, obviously, I think the first step would be, don't throw your camera on the tripod straight away.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of doing this a lot more now. I'm just walking around freely, kind of probably looking like an idiot, somewhat kind of squatting around, moving around, looking through the live viewfinder, holding my camera out in front of me, just seeing how angles look through the lens, because obviously it's going to look way different through what your lens is seeing compared to your eyes.
Getting low, getting high.
Yeah, getting low, getting high, just moving around, being free, not being restricted. And then if I find an angle, I'll be like, okay, what height is that? Okay, it's maybe knee height. I might go get the tripod now, see if I can set it up.
Yep.
But sometimes I'm not even getting the tripod lately, and I'm shooting on the fly. Most lenses today have stabilizers in them. Okay, I take that back. Not all of them, but it's pretty common now to have a lens with a stabilizer, or even the body has a stabilizer in it. And it's amazing how slow of a shutter speed you can use without having a tripod. I've been blurring water for waterfalls and even the ocean, just handheld, fine. Of course, you have to be very stable, but you can definitely do it and get away with it, and that allows you to keep the ISO down and a decent aperture for depth of field.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's worth trying anyway.
It kind of provides you with angles that you may not have gotten on a tripod, but it also opens you up to moments that you might not have gotten on a tripod. For instance, if you're shooting a seascape or around the ocean, if you're really low, you can hold your camera, if you're very brave, you can hold your camera just above the water's edge, and you can get an angle completely unique and, for the most part, unobtainable on a tripod.
Yeah. And
with holding the camera, you also have the freedom to pull the camera away immediately, like should a wave come in or whatnot. Yeah, it just gives you freedom in more than one way of just angles. Like you can see moments that you might have missed if you were on a tripod.
And a lot of it can just be spare of the moment on the fly, especially if the ocean waves are moving, and if you can just quickly get in and bang and get out, and that's something that I've had to do a lot lately, moving in and out of moving waves, running in, especially in caves and locations like that. If you have a tripod, you're just going to struggle big time, because every time you're moving and setting up, you have to realign the tripod every single time. A recent one was that sunflower field we spoke about last episode. The sunflowers are surprisingly big. They're like 6 foot tall. To get the angle I wanted, I needed to be slightly above the sunflowers. I don't even know if my tripod went high enough. I'm sure I probably could have rigged it up to get close to what I wanted, but it's just so time consuming. So for that type of shot, I was happy just to increase the ISO a little bit to get the light in, drop the depth of field down, and then I was actually holding the camera up over my head and just shooting that way, using the live view as a reference. and just going like that. And just checking every shot to make sure it was sharp, and that was fine.
Yeah, and if you've got the knowledge of how your camera settings work and what compromises you can make in terms of your ISO and whatnot, you can, like Will said, go without a tripod.
Figure out how high you're comfortable going with ISOs before it might be too noisy for you to print it. And even the depth of field, just lower, if you need to decrease the depth of field a bit to let some light in, just figure out for your lens and what focal length you're at, what f-stop is still going to be sharp or relatively sharp from front to back. It's quite surprising, especially with wider angle lenses, how wide you can go on the aperture and it's still relatively sharp. I was quite surprised. On a few workshops, obviously I'm there for the students, and I pretty rarely will get a tripod out unless there's a lot of free time to do so. We had a rainbow in Canada last year that was just spare of the moment, kind of racing down the road to capture this thing at the last minute. I just jumped out, and exact same scenario we're talking about now. I just went handheld, had to drop the aperture to f4, and ISO was maybe about 250. And this was a big scene. I had foreground, midground, background, and it's quite amazing at 16mm how sharp this photo still came out, even at f4, purely because being that wide, the depth of field just extends a lot longer. And as you said, this is something, if you kind of experiment with this stuff locally first, when you get to a scenario where it really might come in handy, you're going to be way more comfortable in doing so. And that kind of ties back to Alyssa's question as well. Maybe you can use this time to try new things, maybe experiment with your camera and just mix it up. And when you get to a new location, eventually you'll travel. Sometimes you're ready. It's kind of like, not training, that sounds too serious, but just preparation.
Practice.
Yeah, practice. Yeah, it sounds better.
And I think we're going to wrap it up there, episode number 2. And
sweet.
Yeah, if you want to give us any feedback or submit your own questions, you can email us at shootfirstpodcast@gmail.com. And you can check out Will and myself, our work over on Instagram. What's your handle, Will?
So William_Patino, Patino.
And it doesn't work if you don't pronounce it like that.
Yeah,
so you have to pronounce it while typing.
Weirdly. Yeah, some of the pronunciations I've heard are really
Patino.
Anyway, let's not go there.
And my Instagram is _mugsgame with underscores between the words.
You might have to change it by the end of the
_mugs_game. Easy.
Cool.
Thanks for
listening.
And we'll catch you next week.
Ciao.